Hello and welcome to the Corporate Warriors podcast. My name is Fela, and in this episode, we're gonna talk about how your self-talk is impeding career success. This is a topic that is super important because we all have this nagging voice inside of our heads, and this voice can either help us to grow and to reach our objectives, or it can completely undermine us in every situation of our lives and therefore also in our careers, obviously. So if you have that voice in your head and this voice is not yet your motivational speaker, your coach that is pushing you to grow and is pushing you to go towards your vision of a dream career and dream life, then this episode is for you. So, what is this voice in our heads? I've seen just very recently a post on Instagram and I found it so hilarious. It wasn't just a post, I think it was a comment. And somebody was writing there that they had a friend who, when she was 14 years old, she thought she has to see a psychiatrist because she said, I think I'm schizophrenic because I have this voice inside my head talking to me all day long. And it was hilarious because this person who wrote the comment, he was like, well, everybody has that. That's normal. That's you. And this is where I don't agree. But I do agree that everybody has this voice. It's kind of like a radio station, so to speak, that you're constantly tuned into. And oftentimes it's a very judgy one. So basically this voice is seeing everything you're seeing, judging everything and giving you direct, instant feedback without you even asking for permission, asking for an opinion. And since we're so used to that voice, many people have come to believe that this voice is them. Like that this voice in my head, this is me. This is my identity. And this is the first and most important message actually of this entire episode. It's not true. Because if this were you, you would be set for your life. You would always be the same person. There would be no room for change, for growth. Meditation would not be possible, right? Because meditation ultimately kills that voice. The whole purpose of meditating is silencing down this voice that is constantly giving you ideas, judging, telling you what to do, telling you what you did wrong, telling you what you forgot, telling you you're a bad person, sometimes telling you that you're a better person than somebody else. Comparison is this voice's best friend. And this voice, funnily enough, can you imagine? It's the one voice that does not want you to meditate. It's the voice that's like, we don't have to do that. We can do sports instead. Or let's just read a book. Or, you know what? You're so relaxed already. You don't need to meditate. And once I understood that, I was like, Jesus, that's genius. My voice in my head is genius because it knows once I learn to really meditate and to get into the state, I gain back the power that this voice in my head used to have over me. Can you imagine? So just as a first indicator, so the voice is not you. And if you do not believe me, try meditating and you'll learn that meditating is about silencing this exact voice in your head that brings up the thoughts and then that judges the thoughts and tells you what to do with the thoughts and tells you if that's a good thing or a bad thing and tells you if you need to feel good or if you need to feel bad or if you should feel superior or inferior. And I think it's just a relief already to understand that this voice is not you and you have the power to control it. So the first step here, as always, is taking a closer look into the topic, which means sit back for a second and reflect. What is this voice in your head? Is this voice already a motivational coach helping you seeing the world in a positive manner so that you can grow and, get the next position, get the salary increase, that find strategies together with you for you to enable yourself? If so, no need to listen to the rest of this podcast. I'm gladly seeing you next week again. But if not, then what is this voice exactly telling you? what does this voice really think of you? Right? Does it constantly tell you that you're stupid and you're too dumb to do things, and that you're not the kind of person that will ever have success because you are not patient enough, or you don't have the persistence, or you're lacking the kind of specific motivation that other people have? So that's just not for you. So stay where you're at. Please don't create your dream life and dream career. So really become very obvious, like become very clear about what that voice is and what the attitude of that voice is. That's the first very, very important step for you to recognize, is this voice helping me to reach my career objectives, or is this voice actually impeding me to do so? And don't feel bad if it does. For most people, unfortunately, that's the case. But we're here to fix that. So now let's get to it. If your voice is not a motivational speaker, we need to turn it into one, because this voice is literally what is with you 24/7, except if you do some meditation. And well, at some point, perhaps it doesn't anymore, but in the first weeks, months, potentially even years, it's going to be a continuous, company to you. So be aware, first and foremost, that you can change anything. You can actively train that voice inside your head to do what you need it to do, so that it becomes your supporter, your helper. And make the decision now. What do you want this voice in your head to do or to help you with? What kind of mindset does this voice need? And let us know in the comments if that was already the case for you, or what this voice is constantly nagging you about. I think it would be hilarious to share it, because this voice can be like, if you made a film about that, it would definitely be a comedy, because it's hilarious. The things that we tell ourselves each and every single day. Oh my God, if we heard what other people tell themselves, I think we would be breaking down laughing so hard, because it's nonsense. But if you're not aware of it, and if we identify with it, then we cannot see the nonsense behind it, and we take it as reality. So let us know in the comments what is like the worst thing that your voice is telling you on a daily basis. And make the decision now to change that voice and to make it your supporter. Now let's go into action mode. First and foremost, be aware this will take a little bit of time, and that's okay, because very likely this voice has been with you for years and years and years. It's your current default mode. So the important thing is that you become aware of it. A friend of mine once told me something really interesting. You know that sometimes this voice can even also tell you to eat unhealthy stuff. Like you're like, I stick with the example from my friend. So he's like, I ate like half a package of chips, and I knew that it's already too much. So I put the chips away, and I cleaned everything up and wanted to put them away so I didn't see them anymore. I sit back on the couch, continue my film, and this voice is coming up like, you've already eaten half of the package. Who cares if you eat everything? I would really imagine like the smell and the taste on your tongue, and this voice trying to convince him to go back and get back this half full or half empty, whatever, bag of chips. And what he does, and this is like the greatest tips ever, he's told me, he said, sometimes I just say out loud, no. So he's like basically becoming the parent of this voice. And he said, I need to say it out loud. If I don't say it out loud, it's not working. But he needs to say it out loud. So he says out loud, no, I'm done. If I'm hungry, I can eat an apple. And that is what's helping him. So I encourage you, just try it out, right? There's no right or wrong. It's just the right process for you. And we need to figure out what that is. And this is trial and error. But this is one way how you can do it. And honestly, that works pretty well for me as well. So I would totally encourage you to do that. Or sometimes if I find myself scrolling on social media, I tell myself, I'm like, Vida, stop it. Go back. You had your to-do list. Go back to the list and do the things. You will feel so much better afterwards. And just saying it out loud helps a lot. It's so much better than just talking to yourself in your head, because then you're like trying to overrule that voice that is already trying to influence you in a bad way. And it's like all messy. So I do that too. Try it out. If that works for you as well, let us know. And then be kind to yourself and already acknowledge once you understood that this voice is currently influencing your life and career in a negative way. So take a step back, try to silence it a little bit, be kind with yourself. It's a process. And then ask yourself again, what kind of voice would you have rather heard instead? So if you're at your job and you currently have a project, let's say, that is you're struggling with a little bit. And this voice is like telling you, oh, look at your colleague. She did such a better job than you. Probably you're not ready yet for the next step. Perhaps don't even ask for a promotion. It would be super, embarrassing if you ask for a promotion now and the project is not going well. Your boss will think you're crazy. And then once you realize that this voice is talking to you in that way, take a step back. Perhaps get yourself out of a situation, perhaps go for a quick walk or go to the restroom and take some deep breaths. And then ask yourself, what would you want this voice to tell you? So basically you rewrite the script of this voice. And what would you want it to tell you? It would want to tell you, say, okay, this project is not going as great as I wanted it to go, but I have this whole list of achievements that are still as valuable and important as they were before. This one project doesn't change my whole list of successes that I can showcase to my boss when I have the negotiation, let's say. Also, how can we turn this project around? Are there ways? Can this voice help brainstorm? Basically, right? It's like, see it as a partner. How can it support you to actually reach your objective instead of talking you out of it? And then in order to really get there, try to have reminders. You can have a pop-up on your phone from time to time that say, if you know that at work that is happening very, very often to you, that this voice is like constantly telling you bad things, have a pop-up on your phone, a short reminder that says, what are you telling yourself right now? And then you're like, oh shit, yeah, damn, I should rethink the way I talk to myself. Or have the reminders, put some post-it notes somewhere in your home before you go to work, have it in your car. There are many ways how you can do it. You can send automated emails to yourself. There's many, many ways how you can do it. One thing that I like particularly is positive affirmations. So with the affirmations, you also influence that voice. And if you have the affirmation saying, I see every challenge as an opportunity for growth that will help me advance my career, then here you have it. Next time you have a challenge, the default mode, if you have really ingrained this affirmation like in a brainwashing kind of situation, then the default thinking about the challenge will be exactly that. So you can train also using affirmations, the voice in your head, to go into the direction that you want it to go to support you in your career growth. And then also, if you feel down and you don't know why, ask yourself, how was I talking to myself today? Did I really figure out ways to, make my life better? Or was I starting to go into negative self-talk? And the way you talk to yourself is so important because it changes your whole energy and it changes your mood. And based on that, it will change how you react to things and that will change the results. So in the end, if you do not take care of your voice, this voice will completely take over your life and will change results for the worse. And then it will be like, I told you so. But you don't have to go down that rabbit hole and you go down that route. Okay. And if you're feeling bad and you're like, I don't even know why I'm feeling so horrible, then ask yourself, how were you talking to yourself that day? And also acknowledge the fact that we do have like this bias to always put the negative stuff as more important than the positive things. And just knowing that is already helpful. So there's a thing in behavioral economics that is called loss aversion. And just really quickly, it is basically a trait that nearly all of us have. It's never 100% right, but big majority do have that. So if you find $20 on the street, you're happy. But you're not as happy as you're angry if you lose $20. that is loss aversion. It doesn't equal out. We are way more unhappy if something negative happens to us than we are happy if something positive happens to us. And this is natural. I guess probably at some point that was helping us to survive or whatnot. But right now we don't need it anymore. So acknowledge it as a natural trait of human beings, but you can still change it. Okay, so don't beat yourself up for it. That would just be another support for that voice, but rather try to see behind it and say, okay, I was not doing very well today. I was not talking the way to me that I want to be talked to, and I will change it starting now. And now, last but not least, make sure that you keep track of the successes that come through changing your self-talk. So as I said just now, naturally, we don't focus on the positives as much as we do on the negatives. So it's important for you to have a routine, like a success journal, for instance, where you write down all the great things that have happened, where you can write down your progress, because we are so blind in seeing our own growth. And it doesn't matter if it's career growth or personal growth or spiritual growth. We have trouble seeing and acknowledging our own growth. So it's important that you write it down and you can go back to it and remind yourself of all the things that you've already achieved. And this will give you so much motivation, because we're not really good at that. If you need it, talk to a very close friend of yours and have those regular exchanges so you get some feedback from other people that can see you growing. And this is worth so much. So you will figure out that doing that work actually helps and will motivate you to do a little bit more. This is the way you need to grow in order to achieve your career goals. Okay? So grow and be aware of the growth. And eliminating negative self-talk is a huge win. It's a huge win. So be aware of that win as well. Don't just neglect it. And train your brain to become your biggest ally, your biggest supporter, your motivational speaker, and your coach, to get you through the rough times and to applaud you when things are going well. All right, let me know about your journey. You can also write me a DM on Instagram. I'm always super happy to hear from you. If this is helpful, if these shorter versions of talks are better for you, if you prefer them, let me know. I am all over your comments. If you leave me a comment in the comment section, I'm super happy. I'm going to answer them all. And I am vouching for you. If you like that kind of content, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet. And yeah, see me on my other profiles. I'm still available to you in direct messages, and I'm really happy to hear from you and figure out how to help you further. Have a wonderful rest of your day and see you next week. Bye.